Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Tech News this week. Now, again, if you look at 2020, then it was a bad year for a lot of industries, for a lot of economies. But the tech industry was flourishing. All the tech companies grew, and all the digital transformation, digitization, tech related stuff really grew quarter on quarter last year. So 2020, a lot of tech growth was there. But coming into 2021, some things have continued at a blistering pace and some things have declined. Like, for example, the best example is Netflix. In the 2020 initial quarter, it had gained 16 million subscribers. So that was a very high number. But if you look at this year, it is just 4 million. So it's like 75% down. So that has happened. Like certain categories, certain trends, they have seen a decline. And in fact, the decline may have been due to other reasons. Either there's no demand, or funnily, in like automakers, they were short of chips. Now all modern cars require chips, and since there's a shortage of chips, so obviously if there's a shortage of chips, PCs, smartphones, and laptops will not be affected. So it is the other products like, say, cars and all. So the production went down in cars because of shortage of chips. So similarly, a lot of companies did see a bump. However, there are some industries which continue to grow. So one of them is the smartphone market. So I mean, till 2019, smartphone sales were going great, but 2020 they were even greater. And if you look at a JFM quarter in 2021, then already we have seen a 25% growth compared to last year. So if last year was really good, on top of that you're getting a 25% growth. So that means the sales are continuing. And the big players, like Samsung and Xiaomi, they're really doing well. And to put it in perspectives, we've had 346 million shipments this quarter. So last year it was like 250, 260 odd. So it's seen a 25% growth. But more than Samsung and Xiaomi, something which has seen a whopping growth is Apple. Apple saw a growth of 54% when you compare last year's JFM quarter, and its revenue has touched $90 billion. And that 90 billion, $48 billion was just iPhone sales. So obviously, iPhone 12 has been an overperformer. It could be due to many factors. The demand continues to rise, and iPhone 12 has 5G capability, and it has a new design and display. Now, Apple, interestingly, has also doubled their sales in China. So, Apple is showing us why it became the first company to be valued at $2 trillion. So, it was doing great, and in the pandemic, it is doing greater. Another thing which saw Philip was the PC market. Now, if you know, PC market in the 2010s had gone into decline. Many people were predicting, the death of the PC, but 2020 the PC came back. And if you look at the first quarter sales in 2021, the growth continues. Another thing is e-commerce. That is also another rising star. So Amazon saw a revenue of $108 billion this quarter. And that's, in terms of sales, it's a growth of 44%. And their cloud unit, AWS, grew by 32%. So now JFM, interestingly, is not a holiday quarter, right? Despite that, Apple has done well, Amazon has done well. And Amazon in the next quarter is expecting Prime Day. So that will be also equally big. Sorry. So another thing which is seeing growth is the gaming industry. Now, if you look at the gaming industry, it's already bigger than the film industry in the US. And the gaming industry is bigger than many industries. That includes the games, that includes the apps, that includes the consoles, that includes their gaming competitions and esports. Now, that is showing even in the awards show. Now, if you look at, say, the Academy Awards or the Oscars, they began in 1929. And in 2021, one must say they're really struggling for relevance. The Game Awards, TGA, on the other hand, began in 2014. And each and every year, their popularity is getting even better. To put things in perspective, in 2016, when the TGA live stream garnered 3.8 million viewers, the Oscars was at 34.4 million. This means the Oscars had a 9 times greater viewership than TGA. Since then, the tables have been turned. Every year, year on year, the Oscars have seen decline, and the TGA has been going up. So now the Oscars have concluded. Oscars, the viewership was just 9.8 million, and what about TGA? 83 million. So I mean, there was a 5 years back, TGA viewership was one ninth of the Oscars, and now it is eight times that of the Oscars. That means relative to the Oscars, the TGA has grown 70 to 80 fold, and that shows where gaming is headed and where old technologies like thanks to the COVID era, film halls are shutting down. They're going at 50% capacity. Now, if you look at the Oscars themselves, there is a strong tech element in that. There is a strong OTT presence. Initially, they were not allowed, Netflix and all, but they changed the rules to include streaming. So if you look at Oscars this year, Netflix won 7 Oscars and Amazon Prime won one. Even Facebook won its first Oscar via its Oculus Studios. Disney, which has a leg in both OTT and traditional film, won 5 awards. All films of Disney will end up in Disney Plus. In fact, if you look at it, Searchlight Pictures released the Best Picture winner, Nomadland, in theaters and on streaming simultaneously in Hulu. So Netflix also got 36 nominations this year. So that is a growing tech OTT gaming. So a lot of traditional companies are falling. Now, another big news is, like if you look at China, China was a communist country which adopted capitalism in the late 70s. But the problem with China is if you are a capitalist billionaire, you cannot grow too much. There is a vague ceiling which no one knows what it is, but once you cross that ceiling, you could be in trouble with the authorities. Last year, it was the turn of Alibaba. And if you remember, Alibaba was in trouble. The high profile Ant IPO was scrapped. And Jack Ma even vanished from the news for some time. This year, China has called 13 tech giants for supervision interviews over disorderly expansion of capital. Disorderly expansion of capital means whatever, capital growth. Now, these 13 companies include TikTok parent company ByteDance and Tencent, which was behind the PUBG mobile gaming in India. In other news, the big tech, big auto merging of worlds continues. They are investing into each other because in the future we may just have smart cars. The latest in this is Toyota has bought Lyft's autonomous car group for $550 million. Now, you may remember there was a controversy involving Byju's and Whitehead Jr. over teaching of coding to young kids some time back. That had become a big issue in India. Well, now the Australian government will introduce the concept of cybersecurity from the age of 5. They are looking at a cybersecurity related syllabus for students from the age of 5 and 16, which will subsequently get more and more complex. Like 5-year-olds will be taught not to share their personal information with strangers and to consult parents before they put their personal information online. 6 to 7 years old will be taught about usernames, passwords. Then 8-year-olds will be taught about data and so on till the age of 16. Now, another issue is I don't know if you know of 3D guns. Now, 3D printing has been growing steadily, but 3D printed guns continue to have the limelight. It had gained notoriety in 2013, if you remember. Now, a district court had prevented the sharing of 3D gun plans online, but recently a federal court has overturned this order. Now, 3D printed guns are called ghost guns because they have no serial number. Even the Biden administration is likely to look into that. Finally, as BSNL rolls out 4G in many areas in India and many countries of the world upgrade to 5G, China is already looking at 6G. China is pushing patents and technology in the 6G space and has said that it wants to maintain dominance in the world of 6G as and when it comes. How's that for a vision? On that note, let me end this week's edition. So good evening and have a great weekend, everyone.